Let's talk a little bit today about let it be. If whether it's been here in videos or if you've had a session with me, oftentimes we talk about jumping in the river. And when I was feeling into this jumping into the river energy, there's so many stories and so many things and so much wisdom to learn from the energy of water. And I was remembering a time that I went on a kayaking trip in Southern Oregon, and it was on kind of a bumpy river. It had some rapids to it, and then it also had some smooth spots. But I remember some of the things that they told us as we were going into the river. So we were in these inflatable kayaks, and one of the things they said was to keep your hips loose. And they actually kind of had us practice keeping our hips loose. And this is so when we came across kind of those rapids or rougher water that we weren't all stiff, because if we were stiff, we would probably tump over. But if we allowed ourselves to be flexible, that we would be able then to glide on through those rapids. The other piece of advice they gave us was if someone in the group or in another kayak fell out of their kayak, to allow the professionals to help them out. That they didn't want a bunch of us trying to save one another and then ultimately having everyone in the river. Because the professionals, they've guided this trip a million times. They know the places where people are most likely to have trouble. They put themselves in position to help, and they are the most knowledgeable to help people in this environment. They spend years, they have tons of training watching and knowing how the river moves. So sometimes as we're moving through certain energy um, weeks or in just in life, right? That we find ourselves in the river. It's important for us to just allow things to be, to remain flexible and to allow spirit to help those around us. Now, that's not saying that we can't help and assist, but how we help and assist matters. How we were asked to help and assist in this situation was to follow the instructions of the guides. How are you moving through life following the instructions to take inspired action through your guides? You know, this week, we just happen to be in the Pisces energy this week. And this week, the dreams have been really, really intense. They've shown a lot. I had a dream that was so vivid, it felt like real life. And it was something that when I woke up, I was like, oh my gosh, am I supposed to take action? Is this a message for me to go handle something? And at first, it felt like it was. And I did do a little investigating. But as I kind of observed and was flexible and looking at things from a 360 view, I realized that I really didn't need or wasn't guided to take these actual steps in the physical, that I was actually being invited to look at the deeper meaning to what that dream was trying to show me about my journey. So when you find yourself in this dreamy energy, maybe synchronicities, dreams, things are happening in your life showing you all these signs. When we're in these highly intuitive signs, watch for that deeper meaning. Ask spirit, get quiet, listen to see what's trying to be communicated to you. Because oftentimes there may be a place where you are asked to jump in the river and help, or maybe you're supposed to let and release someone to their journey so spirit can help them. Where you're choosing this action from matters. Is it a place from here or is it a place from here? You know, I also got kind of another intuitive hit earlier in the week to maybe move some things around in my life. Now, I've had this feeling before, but it's interesting. In the past, it came from a place of fear. And so when I realized it came from a place of fear, I knew that I wasn't to do anything, because I know that when I act from a place of fear, that's of here, that I'm not acting from heartfelt, intuitive guidance. However, the hit came again this week and I was super calm. And then I was like, oh, now's the time to make this adjustment. And I've put in place plans this week to make some adjustments in my physical life according to this hit that I got. So you may have things pop up from time to time that inspire you to take some action. So when you first have this hit, allow yourself to just let it be. Witness the feelings that you have inside your body. Ask yourself the questions. Is this coming from a place of fear? What does it feel like if I was to act in this space? Because oftentimes we're just meant to observe it and it has a deeper meaning. And oftentimes we're guided to take some real physical action. So as you find yourself in the river, go with the flow, go with the ease. You know, it's interesting too. Once I've floated the river many times, different places, different rivers. And once you kind of commit to get in that raft or that kayak, you're in the river. How you choose to flow in the river makes all the difference in the experience of the ride. So as you continue to commit to fall into the river, to fall into the flow of life, to observe everything, to notice where your reactions might come from, observe the places you might need to take action, because there are places and times in the river that you do need to paddle out of certain areas, and other times it's just best to let it be and to glide through those spaces. So remember, I got all excited inside my energy right there. So remember to just go with the flow, because there is so many beautiful things to experience when you're floating down the river, when you truly surrender and allow, the guides of the river, your guides, to help direct you. They're doing the heavy lifting for you. And if they need you to do the heavy lifting, know that you will be guided and you won't miss that. As long as you're being still, present, putting your frequency first, listening, taking time out, making adjustments. This is how you can have the greatest experience as you flow through your life. So remember this week, enjoy the ride. Surrender the things to spirit, ask for help, ask for guidance, get that 360 view. And when you're guided to act this week, like many of you may be, go ahead and act, but make sure that it's not coming from here. It's coming from here. Also, get outside. It's nice. I know down here in Georgia, I felt that little bit of fall hint in the air this morning. Connect with nature. There is nothing better to help get you in the flow of life than to observe the flow of life around you. Don't forget, on the 17th, we have our last live Zoom energy session for in season. It's going to be powerful. We're going to put ourselves in this place of receiving the harvest. I look forward to seeing you guys there. We'll talk again next week. Bye-bye.